I very much hope that they will, but of course the terms on which Britain's exit from the EU is going to be agreed aren't known yet, because there are complicated issues around access to the single market and freedom of movement. So for example, we could be a little bit like Norway in that we don't receive ERDF, but maybe we'll replace that with our national currency, and that would be great. The problem is that that would involve the UK signing up to the freedom of movement principles, and that's a really big issue for the pro-Brexit campaign. So there are some really big difficulties around how we would get access. So I think there are two things really. There's the desire to work transnationally and cooperate with other countries, and I think there are lots of people like us who would like to do that. But then there's the political and the structural methodology, if you like, that may or may not allow that. But personally, I very much hope that we will be able to continue. Well, as I said in my presentation here this morning, I think it's very important to build on the partnerships that we already have. So we're a partner in this Higher Interreg Europe project, which is about learning and sharing best practice between partners right across Europe. And that kind of best practice sharing and the way that you forge a partnership and build relationships is I think something that, you know, that we will need to build on in the future. If we are, as you say, we have a hard Brexit and there is no funding available through EU mechanisms, for example, we will have to create our own mechanisms. So our natural allies, people we've worked with before, will be even more important, and we will be hopefully as important to them. You know, it was very interesting here to hear about how the countries in the Baltic Sea region collaborate really, really closely. And you can imagine that, well, I can imagine you've already got a country like Iceland, which is not a member of the European Union, and Norway, which also is not a member of the European Union. They are part of this, you know, the Baltic Sea region, which works really, really closely together. We, to an extent, have that with the North Sea region, but it's not quite as big, and the countries are not quite as connected. So I think we would, you know, we would have to start building those relationships afresh. And if we could use the relationships we've already got, then that would give us a bit of an advantage. Well, we've had, over the years, we've had a lot of success with some of the different Interreg programs. One of the big ones is, I mentioned it in my talk this morning, Smart Life International. Cambridgeshire collaborated with the city of Malmö here in Sweden, and also with Hamburg from Germany, in something called Smart Life International, which was the construction of new centres of learning for students to teach them how to get jobs building houses and helping our new housing market to be sustainable. So it was something around modern methods of construction, and this was really revolutionary, certainly to the British, because it brought in this new notion of sustainability in housing construction, you know, using the right materials from sustainable sources and so on, which is, you know, culturally already embedded in Sweden and Germany, but was something very new to the UK at that time. So that was a really good example of how, you know, there was learning and sharing to a very practical and business-focused and society-focused end use in that. So that was in the North Sea region, and then currently in the North Sea region, it's too early to say whether this is a real success. But you know, Europe and the world is talking about something called Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution. We're a business-facing organisation, and we champion SMEs in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. We are involved in the North Sea region project called Growing 4.0, which is looking to help manufacturing SMEs across 5 European countries to get ready for Industry 4.0. This is about digital manufacturing, the Internet of Things, big data. So this Interreg project will give, hopefully, SMEs in all of those 5 countries a head start in being more competitive in this really new competitive world that they're calling the 4th Industrial Revolution.